Bearded dragons. Today we're going to be discussing feeding routines. Let's get into it. Let's get into diet. Bearded dragons are omnivores. They eat both plant and animal-based food. Dietary needs will vary based on age. So if your dragon is a juvenile, they're going to eat a lot less than my 5-year-old dragon. I feed my dragon daily, and I'll get on the specifics later. Let's get into the animal-based food. Let's get into the plant-based food. Let's get into the foods you should avoid for your dragon. Feeding routine may differ based on age and size of your dragon. Let's get into feeding routine. I wake up like around 6 o'clock, between 6 and 8 o'clock, depending on the day. And what I do is I get my morning chores done, and I feed him roughly between 7 and 9 o'clock. I get his light going, I get him all warmed up, and once I see that he's warmed up, then I change the water in his container, and then I start feeding him about 4 to 5 super worms. Then I go chop his veggies up. I feed him romaine lettuce and squash. The portions, like I said, it may vary. What I do is a small handful of both the mixed vegetables that I chopped up, and that's what I serve him on a daily basis. I leave the veggies there throughout the day. Just make sure that when you go to bed, that you make sure that you clean the enclosure and don't leave food overnight. It starts to crisp and it may smell. So that's something that we want to avoid. Plus, we want to keep him in a schedule. You really want to train your bearded dragon to eat when you're ready to feed him. So if it's in the morning, if it's in the afternoon and at night, you keep that routine the same and consistent. Feeding techniques. You can feed your dragon 2 ways: hand fed or tongue fed. That's just your preference. Me personally, I don't like to feed my dragon by hand, because if I touch something and then I go and feed him, I don't want to get him sick. So I prefer using tongs. My children, if you ask them, they hand feed their little dragons, and sometimes they feed him by hand. But I prefer to not do that. That's just my preference, and that varies from person to person. It's good because you create a bond with the dragon, but to me, my preference is
Another option you have is self-feeding.
use this. Another thing you want to do is observe and adjust. You also want to monitor their habits, because you want to adjust their portions based on if they eat or don't eat. Common feeding issues. One might be your dragon refuses to eat. If that happens, monitor your dragon. Make sure that they are okay. If not, I suggest seeking a professional to give you more of an insight on what's going on with your dragon. Nutritional deficiencies. A lot of times, these dragons, they require calcium. So one of the things that we do is that we give ours, and we by no means are sponsored by any of these companies. I just want to let you know that this is what I give mine. I gave him a multivitamin with his crickets once a week, usually on the weekend. The second one, I gave him calcium with vitamin D, and same thing. I sprinkle it on their crickets, on his crickets, and give it to him 5 times a week. You really want to observe your dragon. You always want to make sure that he is not underfed or overfed. It's important for you to keep an eye on your pet and make sure that they're getting the vitamins that they need to continue a happy and healthy life. I want to remind you that what I'm sharing are my experiences. They may differ from other people on this platform, and they might differ from yours. I just want to share my experience and continue learning and growing in this community, and share as much information as I can to a beginner just like me. If this information was helpful for you, please like, share, and subscribe. I will add my socials at the bottom of the screen. Please also follow us on those social media platforms, and thank you for watching.